Just so you know, I know, there are some of you that thought that little coaching conversation, which is on the move, wasn't applicable to them. Just so you know that I know that. So it was at a different table with different people. Interesting concept. I'm not saying that I'm not watching you, but... All right, so we've done the first coaching frame out of the 9. Sounds good, guys? And as we set up before, like literally, if we don't have a great coaching relationship, then what's going to happen from here isn't going to make much difference in terms of following through. Given we've got that, so we're going to tick that box in terms of it. What we're now going to do is head into how do we go through and about assessing someone's current reality. Now, interesting enough, where's Jack sitting now? Jack, yeah. So Jack, this starts to get into some of the things that you were talking about before, and I almost felt I had to hold back on the coaching conversation we had up here as a role play because there's other frames that'll come into play. So what's going to happen is, guys, we're going to learn all these in sort of almost jigsaw pieces, and then we'll be able to put them together in a coaching conversation. So around this then, the first thing I'd like to introduce you to is scams. That's a scam! That's a scam! So let's have a look at what a scam is. Well, a scam, first of all, is a story that someone's been telling themselves for such a long time that they believe in it, and it's very important that you believe in it too. Tell me a story, tell me a story, tell me a story. Yeah. So much so, they've repeated this story. So it's almost like you meet this person and say, hey, look, I just need to let you know this is what's happening in my life. Right, this is my story. You need to know about this. Now, as a coach, you want to have a thank you for sharing on a story. Because if you buy into the story, then you'll typically lose coaching power. Does that make sense, guys? To be able to see something different. The C stands for cons. They are conning you. I can't get to the meeting on time. It's just not possible. You need to understand the traffic was really busy. Is the traffic typically busy at this point in time? Yes, almost every day. You could leave earlier. They're conning you, right? Next is assumptions. Oh yes, well you know, I'm only this or this age or you've got to be in the business for this length of time. There's these assumptions that roll through. Next is meanings. So if someone looks at you weirdly, another person might make that mean something. It's like, what do you mean by that? Well, you didn't ring me. What does that mean? So we make up stuff in our head along those lines. And the final one here, guys, is a mindset. Is having a fixed mindset as opposed to a growth mindset. Could you write that term down, guys? A fixed mindset as opposed to a growth mindset. But literally, if you think about it, a scam is about identifying am I stuck by a story? Am I stuck by a con? Am I stuck by an assumption that I've made about life, about me, about my results? Am I stuck by a meaning? Am I stuck by a mindset? Example of this might be, and by the way, we're just assessing the current reality. So we're looking for the good, the bad, the ugly in the current reality here, guys. Does that make sense? Current reality, desired reality, how are we going to get you there? This is the current reality component with it. One of the things that's interesting is that people will only feel comfortable to share a certain amount based on the relationship that we have with them and the safety that they feel they can have that conversation. So we're going to go on from here in a moment and look at one of the most important insights that you can provide that starts to create an openness in communication. Sounds good? Before we do that though, have any of your team got any scams running? I mean, no one in here would. None of us would have any scams running. It's just wondering if you notice any in other people. Ready, set, go. Quick discussion, go to it. Any scams? Okay. All right, team, thank you, tuning in. Thanks, guys. So who in here recognises there could be a scam or two going on with some of your clients, aka team members? Who recognises that? Okay. So first of all is identifying them and then helping them move to another way of operating. Now, what could a cool exercise be around this other than Matt? You've already thought of it, I know. What could be a cool exercise that you could do with this? Anyone? 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 Is it my turn? No, you're not going to play skirmish. Skirmish. How ridiculous. Right, we are firing bullets until you become honest with me. So, no, that's not the recommended strategy, but thanks, Angelo, for suggesting it. The idea would be that if you come at someone and say, you are scamming, and let me explain what that means, in the middle of a coaching session, it could be a little bit on the confronting side. Does that make sense? Hello, guys? Yeah? Scam! There's a scam! That's not going to work too well, okay? Just so you know, right? Someone just freaked out and jumped a little bit, but it's all okay. What we're better off to do is, at one of our team sessions, to say, hey, I just learnt this really cool insight about scams, and you walk through it with everyone in the team. When there's no scams present, you're not having a coaching conversation. So this is learning. Make sense? So you actually share this with your team. And then, in a one-on-one, because you now both have the same frame of reference, you've pre-framed this to now be able to have a conversation in a coaching session because we're aware of this language. You with me on that, guys? So, share it when you're not in the middle of something, in a learning kind of mode, and then you're in the position to say, hey, do you reckon there's any stories floating around? What's your mindset like at the moment? Any assumptions you've made about the kind of results you can produce? Got the idea? Okay, cool. So, before we go on to the next component, let's assume we've done that. We've shared that with the team in a proactive kind of a way, guys. We've pre-framed it. Now we're actually in a conversation. And we want to start to uncover some of this. Why? Because we know, whilst ever I hang on to this, I'm not going to move forward. Now, to clarify this, how do they catch monkeys in Indonesia and keep them alive? Some of the REI Network members in the room know what I'm talking about here. They use bananas. Duh. Pretty obvious, right? Ample supply. So they put a banana in a cage, but the cage is not big enough for a monkey. The cage is only big enough for a banana. Monkey comes along and says, me like banana, some version of that. And with an open hand, they've made the slats in the cage just wide enough with an open hand to be able to put the hand in. They put the hand in, they grab the banana. But they actually can't get out with a clenched fist. Keep in mind, the monkey is outside of the cage. But the only thing in the cage is the monkey's fist wrapped around this banana. They can see the hunters coming along, and they're in their head, they're saying, my banana, no way, I'm letting go, this is my banana. Yet all they would have to do to be free is to let go of the banana. The banana, guys, in this case, is the story, is the con, is the meaning, is the mindset that's actually holding someone back. We've got to help them let go of that to see it at a different level. Now, I'm going to go through a whole range of different strategies with this, but recognise all the monkey would need to do to be free is literally let go of that. And it creates this wonderful space for them to explore and step up to another level. So part of our role in this identifying the current reality is helping them understand that there could be a scam that's been actually running the show for a while. And if we're going to go to another level of performance, we've got to actually firstly identify it before we do something about it. Make sense? Okay, cool. You are now in a coaching session with me, and there is a level of awareness that something shenanigans is going on behind the scenes. There's some scams going on around this. Your mission is to design some questions at your table, some questions that would uncover some of these. You don't know what it is, but you think there's some shenanigans there. So what questions could you ask to uncover this? Remember, this is all about assessing current reality, right? And we'll share these as a team, so it'll give you a chance to really start to hone in on this learning. Ready, set, go. Get as many as you can down as fast. We'll give it about 4 minutes, guys, 4 minutes. Guys, this is a really quick coaching timeout. A quick coaching timeout. You're looking to ask a question that would uncover what that might be, what the issue could be getting in the way of their performance, right? And your mission, my recommendation would be to say, okay, what's something I could actually do on stories? But there might be an overall one you could do, but you might want to have a look at each of them and say, what questions could we ask that actually allows us to step into their shoes and surface something that's been going on for a while? Sounds good? Keep going. All right, guys, thank you all. So, So team, in a coaching session, do I want you to be me? No, I don't want you to be me. In a coaching, when you're in a coaching session, do I want you to be me? No. I'm happy for you to have me on your shoulder and say, what would Sheer Goal's advice be in this situation, right? That's okay, but then it's you. If you're not you, they're going to say, who's turned up here right now? They're expecting you to turn up. Does that make sense? So this is not about copying this, and the reason why I've asked you to come up with the questions rather than let me put a slide up full of questions, I want you to actually come up with the questions. You need to do this work, guys, right? Internalise it for you, because it's actually it'll resonate with them coming from you, not coming from me. And it was interesting, some of you were at Business of Real Estate, and one of the distinctions I had that came through loud and clear, both in day one and day two at Business of Real Estate, is that the types of leaders within real estate are so varied. And that's exciting to me. Whereas I think at one point in time, everyone thought they needed to be a certain way as a leader. That's not the truth. That's not the case. So it's not being a certain way as, like you've got to be only this way as a coach. What you want to do is out of these 2 days, internalise the relevant points for you, recognise you've got a really smart notebook, and you will have by the end of these 2 days, there to reference to help you continually tweak and hone and improve it. Yeah? Does that mean every coaching conversation you have is going to be perfect? The answer is no. But I guarantee it'll be a learning experience for you to tweak it, to tweak it, to tweak it, to tweak it. Sounds good? So let's hear some of these questions. Andrew, thanks for volunteering to go first. Number one. Number one. Frankie did play with this at the break. Can we get number two, please? Very good, thank you. Beautiful.
We came up with, to get the right questions, that obviously a pre-frame first to make sure that everyone's on the same level of thinking and the honesty is going to be out there. And then once you've established a pre-frame, everyone's going to be open and honest with each other. We talked about standards. Saying, okay, well, these are all the standards that we committed to, we said we're going to commit to. How do you think we're travelling in all these areas, and get everyone to rate it? And that will then, we can then talk about what the lower ratings were and why do we think it was a lower rating? Was it because of your scam?
Yeah, excellent, very good. Now, it sounded like you were talking more about a team session than a one-on-one.
A team session, yeah.
Yeah, great.
You can do it as a one-on-one.
You can do it one-on-one. In fact, depending on the level of safety you have within your team, important point, guys, the amount of safety you have in the team, the level of openness that they'll share in a team situation versus they will actually share in a one-on-one situation, you may find more honesty come through with that. What you could do is say, hey, we're going to actually look at all these. So you said, here are the standards. In our next catch-up, I really want to sit down with you and understand where are the gaps there for you to take the business to the next level. Yeah? Okay, very good. Yeah, very good. Who would like to speak on this one? Kerry?
We're talking individually about, as an individual one-on-one situation, what are you doing well in your business at the moment? What do you think is clunky? As a sort of a question that you could ask. Yeah, great. Just to see what story comes out.
Yeah, excellent. What are you doing well? What's on the clunky side? Who'd like to speak? No one's looking at me. You should see. If I could have an award for poker face, right? Take one for the team. Well done, good job. Yeah.
I was thinking that you'd probably have a general chat and just ask a very simple question of what they feel is important to them working in the team, and sort of casually go through that as a starter.
Yeah, great.
Then work through what they consider as problems and issues, and see where their mind is fixed.
Yeah. So along those lines, if there was one or two issues that you think could be getting in the way of you going to the next level, what might those be? So you use things like might, if there was, not what are the one or two issues, if there was, because you actually just allow it to be far more open. If there was one or two issues getting in the way of you going to the next level, what might they be? So it's quite non-confronting, guys, lingo. Hassan, I'm sensing you want to say something?
One question you could ask could be, what assumptions are you making about your capacity?
Good, great. What assumption are you making about your capacity? Yeah, excellent. Very good. Elected spokesperson.
We talked about referring to previous commitments that have been made in previous meetings and understanding whether we're on track or off track.
Great. On track, off track is a fantastic conversation. And it could be a previous commitment that hasn't followed through. And you say, hey, look, I've noticed in the last 3 times we've caught up, you've said you are going to do X, and it sort of really hasn't happened. You know, it sort of really hasn't happened, has it? No, it hasn't. Okay. So what do you think? Can you level with me? Can you level with me? What's really going on? Right? So it's almost you get into a shenanigans kind of a, what's the shenanigans going on here kind of thing. Elected spokesperson? Leanne?
So the question that we suggested was
Just hold it nice and tight. Yep.
the question was what to ask the person that you're coaching who they admired most in the team, and then why, as a way of sort of alluding to what they feel they don't have that could make them that most admired person.
Yeah, fantastic, great. If there was, the other way of saying that is, if there was one thing, guys, I'm hoping you're adding these onto your notes. If there's one thing to learn from that person you admire, what would that be, that one thing to learn? Yeah, so you've said it in a positive, but you actually find out where is the area they want to improve. Craig, I'm feeling you want to...
See how I put my head down and started writing then?
Yeah.
What is the one thing that you think you can do to get back to the results that you were getting and get exceptional results again? Okay,
so what's the one thing that you think would have the biggest impact on you, getting you back to that level of performance and results? Elected spokesperson? Adam, thanks for volunteering.
We heard if you could do something differently, what would it be to get a better outcome?
Yeah, if you could do something differently, what could it be to get a better outcome? Keep in mind that quite often, guys, that will lead into another question and another question and another question. Does that make sense? It won't be just one question that gets this. You might have to do some investigative journalism. The reason I say that is that quite often in coaching, someone turns around and says, I don't know. Now, they've learnt this, and we learnt this at school. Now, at Little Tackers, right, Little Tackers in terms of primary school, come home from primary school. Who's got Little Tackers, primary school? Okay, if you ask Little Tackers, primary school, and say, what'd you do today at school? Well, I did this, I did this, I did this, and I did this, and then we did this, and we did this, and we did this, and have a look at this, and this, and this, right? Enter teenage reality, right? Teenage. What did you do at school today? Nothing much. Same. So we learnt somewhere between the little tacker and teenage, we learnt to shut the conversation down, not to increase it, because they don't want to have the conversation with you. You're boring, I know that, I'm out of here, right? So what happens a lot of the time, guys, from a coaching point of view, what we do is, in coaching, the coaching client, the team member, turns around and says, I don't really know. Now, here's what I'd like you to make a note of. If someone says, I don't know, get excited, because you are so close. On the other side of don't know is they know. Now, who remembers, this is a number of years ago, when Rudy Giuliani spoke at an AREC. Do you remember this, guys? And the question came up is, are you planning to actually run for president, right? And he did the political, and if you remember, I turned around and said to him, look, Rudy, I really appreciate what you're saying, but as you've got a couple of thousand real estate professionals in the room, it would be inappropriate for me not to ask you this question. I know you don't know if you're going to run for president, but if you did know, what would the answer be? And he went, haven't heard that one before, but then actually we shut it down anyway, so it didn't go anywhere. But a simple one for you guys is on the other side of don't know is they know. And that's been almost their block. That's almost getting into the scam. So I don't know. Stop. How cool is that? Well, and look, the first simple one to do is, look, out of interest, if you did know, what do you think it might be? And quite often, it'll uncover. Sally?
If you're having a particular issue with somebody, ask them why they don't see value in the task or the particular area that you're having a problem with.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. How come you don't see value in this task or value in this? Yeah, explain how you're thinking behind the scenes around that. Great. Marty?
We came up with if there was 3 challenges that you face right now, what would they be?
Yeah, great. If there were 3 challenges you face right now, what would those 3 challenges be? You guys have got it. Yes, guys? Who over here's got one they'd like to contribute? Steph, I think you have.
I would just start by asking them how things are going.
Good. That would be a natural one. We don't start in scams, just so you guys are aware. Hello, let's actually have a scam conversation right now. So we'd absolutely start how it's going. We lead into this, so good point. Did you have any lead-in ones after that?
What we talked about that you really need to know where they're at and where they want to be, and then the 3 challenges. Thanks for taking that one because that's what we use. And but it's really understanding as well. If there are 3 challenges, there'll be stories they tell themselves. There'll be a lot of assumptions, and then drilling right down into those. That's pretty much the way I'd try and do it.
Yeah, great. So think the drill down, guys, well and truly with it. Elected spokesperson here, Bree. Thank you for volunteering.
I think they've all been covered, but again, maybe just the tell me more.
Tell me more. Did we get very far?
Oh, gee, thanks.
Andrew?
We thought, what do you think our agency could do to improve the situations? So we're trying to get a kind of blame out of it. So what do they think that, how you have some achievers and then you have some non-achievers, but you get some blaming other factors?
Yes.
So we're trying to get out of them if they're just the blamer or whether they're actually being honest with themselves and believing in themselves.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things, guys, that we want to do, let me just quickly draw this model up for you around this. And some of you have seen me share this before, but it's actually really important to take on board. There are things in our life that you can control. Would you agree? What time you get up in the morning, what you eat, except if you happen to be at a bar and there's chippies on the bench, then suddenly controlling what you eat becomes very difficult kind of thing. So things that you can control. Outside of the things you can control, can you control your team? No. We might like to, but no, we can't, right? What sits outside of that then is things, you can't control these, but you can influence them. And those of you who've seen this more than once, guys, I'm now asking you to think at a higher level to see how well am I applying this along those lines. So you can control these, you can influence these. Team absolutely sits here, clients sit here, and so on. And then outside of this, and look, if I was drawing this accurately, what we can't control would be more so, the entire wall here, that these things that basically you can't control or influence. Now, this is quite a good model to share with your team too, by the way, because what can happen in this situation is people can get caught into, James, can you see that okay? Just? Better? Okay, good. And then I'll turn it your side so you can see it too. So what we need to do is help them focus in on what they can control or what they can influence as opposed to being out here. When we get to the goals process, either later today or tomorrow, guys, I'm going to be very, very clear about creating separation between whose goals they are. So we're actually going to remove we language in the goals process. We're going to remove we language in the action process. Too often the we can get us caught between, well, who actually owns this? And we want to be really clear with ownership around that. Yes, guys? So why is that important is because what we want to do is make sure, well, can you control this? Can you influence this? If you can't, the fastest way to depression, by the way, is focus on things that you can't control and can't influence. Spend all your time out here. And what you want to do is support your team getting back to what they can control, what they can influence, what can they put in place, because the more that they are focused in here, the better results they will produce. Quite a good one to share with the team. Yes, guys? Okay, where were we? Have you guys got any other great ones? Jackie. Oh, and Betty, you got one? Yeah? Cool.
I was going to say, ask the question.
Just mic up there. Yeah.
Ask the question as to how they feel whatever is happening is actually influencing the team, or a situation that the team is being hindered or ill-affected.
Yeah, great. I actually think that first bit, how do you think this is actually having an impact on the team's performance, and almost shut up from there and see what they say. Could be a follow-up with that. Do you have another one? Yep.
Just sort of trying to take the blame and put help into it. So I can help you best. Would you mind telling me a little bit more about what's happening?
Yeah. Keep in mind, we've got to have permission. So you're 100% correct. If we don't have permission for this, they'll just do shutdown well and truly, as opposed to be in that open mode. Andrew?
Following on from Steph's comment, how's it all going? Continuing on saying, so since we met last time, you were going to do this, and this. What's holding you back from why haven't you done it, et cetera, or how's it gone?
Yeah. Great. Watch the why question, guys. Why tends to put them into a justification mode. You're better off to say, how come that hasn't happened? It's just a slight difference, but they'll get more into process than they will into to the why kind of mode. Okay, very good. Rich?
I think most of ours have been covered, but I was just going straight to the point and saying, what do you think's holding you back, which Andrew just said.
Yeah, what do you think's holding you back? By the way, guys, if you've been through scams in a training kind of mode, right, you can actually say, look, on reflection, do you think there's any of these things going on for you? Yeah? You'd actually just turn over and say, we talked about this last week. Do you reckon there's any of these going on? Anyone here got one to add? Yep. Thanks, James.
There was something you said when you're up on stage, and it was the way you framed it was, look, is there anything we can do to help you? Because often that will uncover the excuses.
Yes.
Well, I need a PA, I need this, I need that.
Yeah.
And that can often lead to the story. So.
Yeah, very good. And then behind that is that, you got any you'd like to share? No, you're good? Hang on, let it be known, you and Morton had the chance of grabbing a microphone, and he didn't. No, you're not getting it now. Yeah. But he said he wanted it back then after that. It's impressive.
Just two things. The whole framing of this is built on honesty, and just deal with the facts.
Yeah.
Stick to the facts.
Yeah, very good. So that's an important point. Take the emotion out of it and get to, the facts, the actual issues. Yeah. Excellent. Hang on. Bidding.
Just following on from what Richard said, he said, what do you think's holding you back? Should you be framing that with, look, we really believe in you, before you say those things?
Absolutely. If you go in there and say, Nathan, you're underperforming, and I'd like to identify what are the three things that are actually holding you back, he'll say up yours. Kind of thing. We've got to have coaching relationship in place. We've got to have positive rapport in place. So none of that takes away from this conversation, guys. Does that make sense? We're building on that as opposed to instead of it.
Because I think you've got to have the soft preceding the hard.
Let's see where we go to pretty soon, huh? Very good. As if you knew what was coming. Okay. Have you got a good shopping list there now, guys? Yeah? Excellent. Very, very good.